Hi everyone, it's Nikki here. Welcome to my happy place. Before we get started on a full tour of my craft room, I just want to say a very big thank you to Cara Brandon for organising this YouTube hop so that we can all get organised for the new year. And all the details about the hop are down in the description box. And my craft room is not the most stunning around, but it is very practical, and I use the space that I have and just trying to keep things as organized as possible. And I just want you to see, you can actually see my floor today. Sometimes you cannot see what color the carpet is. I end up with stuff everywhere. But for today, I decided we better at least have it looking semi-decent, because I do actually try and pack up and tidy up every time I finish a project. Before I start a new one, I like to have a clean slate. So let's have a look around and I'll show you how I keep things as organized and as tidy as possible in this not huge space, but one that I am very grateful to have. Okay, so we're going to start in one corner and we're going to work our way around. This is probably the most boring cupboard, but up the top in the blue container is a ton of lace and trim. The two pink ones, one is full of beads, one is full of sequins. The lovely old gold tin is my good old-fashioned sewing box, and the little red one to the side there is full of buttons. On this shelf, in the woven tub, it's full of envelopes, general stationery items right in the middle, plus a ton of stamps in that purple container there. And in the white tub over on the other side, the basket, is just some general tools. There's rubber bands and cling wrap and all that sort of stuff. I just like to keep everything together. On the next shelf down, I have a few large art style books that I just didn't know where to pop them, so they're living in that cupboard. If anybody wants a notebook in the middle there, as you can see, I've got plenty to spare. And if you need a pencil case, over there in the blue basket is just a few of my pencil cases and pouches and things like that. Here on the next shelf, I keep all my general filing and folders. There's recipe folders and all sorts of bits and pieces there. They just fit in there perfectly. Down below here, I have some packaging cardboard that I got from work. It's fabulous for when I'm sending out orders. The little cream colored basket there is full of all sorts of sticky notes. And in the black one, I have got some planner supplies, sometimes things to make planner things with. I've got spare and old inserts and all that sort of thing. And then down the bottom, that cupboard there is just, that shelf I should say, is just full of empty containers for when I need one. Moving along to the bookshelf that is in the middle of the wall, I have a gorgeous stuffed coffee cup cushion up the top there. On this shelf here, I get these fabulous containers from Daiso, and they are just great for stacking and storing. For example, I've got things in there. One of them is full of little paper bags for when I'm making journals. I have all my fabric flowers. I have all my wax seal making goodies. I have all my paperclip making things. I have another one full of tools I use to make dangle charms and things like that. There is lots of cuts up bits of magazines in those three there together on the right. They're all little tiny bits that I can use for journaling and stuff like that. So I just find these so handy to keep, like, oh, hang on, what else have I got there? Wait a minute, I've got all my embossing folders there too. But they are just so handy. And have a look at how many different ones you can fit on a single bookshelf. Next shelf down is my die cut machine, and to the left is a storage container that I got from Kmart. It's actually designed for photo storage, but there is, I think, 12 different coloured little containers inside. I have labelled each one, and that's where I keep all my actual dies. So for example, I've got one for Christmas, one for nature, animals, all that sort of thing. It's just really easy and handy and very compact. The next shelf down here, that big white tub is all of my stamps and inks and stamping blocks and all that sort of stuff. Again, nicely kept together. It's not the prettiest way of doing it, but it works for me. The little timber storage box there is just full of a few little bits that I use sometimes if I go to markets and stuff like that. On the next shelf down here, in that woven basket, I have my watercolour pencils, my Prismacolors, some spare pens, erasers, all things that otherwise that are new and are extras. Few little paint, the larger ones that I don't use very often, in that white planter pot. Down below here on the left, I have all my punches. Again, I don't have thousands of things. I just have lots of different types of things. So thankfully they all fit perfectly in there. And the tub to the right is like my little toolkit. My mini cutters there, my friction sticker maker, a little set of scales, all those sort of things. Then down below here, the gorgeous timber box is where I keep all my embroidery threads. The white caddy next to that is all the things I use when I want to do some hand lettering. One of those things I am trying to learn, so I have put everything together in that caddy so I can get some practice in. And that little white bag is just a bag of goodies that I have yet to find a home for. I went on one of the Qantas final 747 flights last year, and it's all the commemorative stuff that we got. Okay, so now we've moved over to the other cupboard. Up on top there on the left is where I keep all my vintage papers for junk journaling. On the right, I have another 2 tubs. The top one is where I keep all my scraps that are a single solid colour, and the one below that are all the patterned scrapbooking papers, scraps. They just all live in there, and as you can see, that's getting a little full. Now, here's 2 very boring looking boxes, but I grab all these fabulous boxes from work. The top one is what I use when I'm making a mess. So if I want to spray paint or splatter, I just put whatever I'm working on in that box and contain all the mess. And the one below it is what I call my half-baked box. A lot of projects that have been started, semi-finished, not done, they live in there. And when I have time or need to get something finished, I can grab it out of there. It's just a very safe way of keeping projects done that are still under construction. On this shelf here, this is one thing I am not happy with but haven't found my perfect solution yet. On the left in that woven basket, that's where I have all my die cuts. So I've got 8 plastic containers in there, so they are subdivided, but just not super happy with that. I must find a better solution where I can split them into smaller, more sub type arrangement. It's just, it's not working for me, but that's okay. In the middle there, in that white tub, that is all my journaling cards. To the right, this little white tub is my embossing powders. In behind that is all my alcohol inks. And in the back there, that is all my tags. I have plain coloured tags on the left, patterned tags on the right, and completed tags, in the middle, the patterned ones, and on the right is all the ones that I've actually completed, just so that I've always got them done and ready to go. On the next shelf down here, we all have to have a little, I don't know where to put it container, and that's what that black one is. There is some journaling supplies in there. There is stickers, just 3D stickers, just all sorts of bits that don't have another home. So guess what? That's where they live. And these 2 white containers are my single scrapbooking papers, The one on the top is where I keep all the thicker, better quality papers, and the one below it is all the thinner ones. Great for journaling pages and making things like that. On the next one down, to the left is my rather sparse supply of scrapbooking paper pads, but as I'm not a scrapbooker, I really don't need to have tons of them. I've just purchased a few where I've loved the themes or the colours. In the middle is all my other paper styles, like there is vellum, there is acetate, there is coloured paper, tracing paper, pretty pattern paper. That all lives in the middle. And over on the right in that yellow tub is all of my small paper pads. And then down the bottom in the large brown box is all my Christmas supplies. The white one, the pizza box, is Easter, and the little plastic tub to the left is Halloween. Okay, so over on this wall is a very old bookcase that used to be mine as a little girl. It's probably got about 20,000 layers of paint on it. It's been very many different colours, but it's perfect as a place to store books and mags. So up the top, I have lots of ocean themed goodies because my alter ego is definitely a mermaid. And I have my aromatherapy burner there, which I love putting on when I'm crafting, and it's nice and safe out of the way. Down on this shelf is all my books that I tear apart to make journals with. There's old dictionaries, things like that. One of those things a lot of junk journalers have. On the next shelf down is some of my magazines. Plus, in that basket is all just a few boxes, like coffee sachet boxes and things that I've kept that I use for making journal covers. And down the bottom is my magazine stash. And any of you that have been following my channel for a while know I love using magazines and recycling them and making sure I get the most out of them for all their images and beautiful paper. And I'm very lucky. I get a lot of these free from work. On changeover day, when magazines, the new ones come in, the old ones actually just end up in the dumpster and get crushed. So if I'm lucky and I'm around at the right time, I often get them all for free. Hanging on the wall there to the left is my vision board. Always like to update that and keep it full of pretty things. Up on the top shelf there, on the left, is what I call my gift wrapping station. Everything I need to wrap gifts, I house in those drawers. The white tub to the right there is where I keep all my stencils. And I'm happy to have them up there because they're very lightweight. They're easy to pick up and pull down from that shelf. Then I have my laminator. Forgot that word there for a minute. And some plastic containers I use for paint mixing. Then in the top shelf here is where I keep all my glues and mediums. So there's gesso, matte gel medium, all that sort of thing. Spare glue sticks live in the top drawer. The next drawer down is, these two drawers are how I store my paint and just keep them safe and out of the way. I've decided to split them into warm colours in one drawer and cool colours in the next drawer. Just makes it easier to find colours when I need it. The next drawer down is full of sponges and paint palettes and all those little extras one needs when playing with acrylic paint. And in the bottom one is just some things like bubble wrap and things that I use to just make marks and stuff like that. There's some old toilet rolls, that sort of thing. And then there in that large green box is my 2-in-1 guillotine / large paper trimmer. On the right hand side of this cupboard is a box of filing bits and all my gift bags that I keep, sometimes obviously to use for gifts, but other times they can be really handy when making journals. And down below here, this giant tub is where I keep all my ribbons. Not the most attractive thing, but it works. I actually have all my ribbons divided in plastic bags into like groupings. So single colours, patterned, vintage, black and white, metallic, you get the drift. That way it makes it easy to find and it just keeps them nice and tidy. I store some spare gift wrap there on the right. And in these two baskets down below, I have old school supplies from when my girls were at school, which is a long time ago, but those exercise books sure come in handy for coffee dyeing and stuff like that for journaling. And down below in the very bottom one that's all full of different sized art journals. Just keep them all in that tub to keep them together. And then just on the right hand side there is all my really big art journals. Now just to the right hand side of my desk is my cart. This one I bought ages ago from Kmart. I always say I'm going to spray paint it a prettier colour, but guess what? Never happened. But I keep all sorts of bits and pieces here that I want close to hand. There's tools, there's paints, there's lots of pens, there's all my different types of glue, double-sided tape, all those things. Hanging on the right-hand side, there is some watercolours. On the next level down, I have lots of these pink pouches. I keep things like doilies, paint chips, stick-on bling, all those sort of things where I don't have hundreds and thousands of them, but I have a few. And by keeping them all together in the pouch, I find it easy to access. And on the bottom, that is completely chock-a-block full of the larger storage pouches. And in there, I keep my letters and words and coffee dyed paper and color dyed paper and all sorts of things that need to be kept neat and tidy. But in those folders, I just flip through them quickly. They fit in perfectly and I can find what I'm looking for. And then just down there on the floor is a couple of projects that I'm working on at the moment, plus that large green folder is all full of magazine clippings. And finally, it's time to check out my desk. It's actually two small desks that I have pushed together and they sort of float in the middle of the room, especially because my view out the window is not the most exciting. So I like to actually face the door and look out into my house when I'm crafting. And in all of this here, again, just keeping things close by that I need all the time. Paper towel, nappy wipes, heat gun, a few more journaling supplies that were just the right size. And down below, they are things I have torn out of magazines, because you saw how full my magazine rack is. So every now and then I do clean it out and they all need to be filed. Just on the left of that, that's where I keep some spare packaging that I use, you know, when you want to protect pages in a journal and stuff like that. It's always handy to have. And I've got a spare cutting mat. And then up on my desk, I have pens. I have paintbrushes. I have some felt tip brush pens. These are the ones I use in my journaling regularly, and that is my daily journal. It lives on my craft desk so that I fill it out regularly. I have this gorgeous wooden toolbox, which is literally full of tools. Scissors, brayers, pliers, you name it, all lives in there, keeps them safe and sound. Of course, what's a desk without the ugliest water glass you've ever seen? I've been using that one for years. The little white tub here is some journaling supplies, small ones. There's packets of washi tape strips. There's sticky notes that are that lovely craft colour, which are great for journaling and things like that. Then I have these two wooden tubs. The one at the back, that's what I call my lucky dip box. So when I'm journaling or when I want to make a masterboard, all my larger scraps plus some bits and pieces that I may have received as happy mail, I stuff them all in there. And then I have great joy just flipping through that and finding something that's suitable for the project I'm currently working on. And the one at the front is the same idea, except it's all my little tiny ones. So I have printed, single colour and natural toned. So all my little scraps, I find them so handy for layering. I just keep using that up and it's nice and handy, so they actually do get used. This little book here in the middle, that's actually a stamp album that I converted into a little folder to hold tiny ephemera, and I've got a video on that if you want to watch it. I just put that up the other week. And these little drawers, I keep some bits up the top. It's just things I like handy. So all my roller stamps, the obligatory, you've got to have a little dish where you just dump stuff. That's where all those little bits go. And then a few vintage washi tapes, which I tend to not use when planning, but I like them for journaling. So I keep them in here. And I always keep my favorite journaling pen there right at the front. And then in these two drawers, I have all my alphabet stamps. Let me see if I can open this without being too shaky for you. So everything alphabet lives in that drawer, including my favorite Ranger ink, which I love using. So everything for that gets stuck in there. Whoops-a-daisy. And in this bottom one, I've got mica powders, I've got pearl drops, even though these ones are not the real one. I didn't know when I bought them, but they do work fine. And then just some little tubs for all those tiny little embellishments that need a home. There's bulb pins, there's brads, just those little things that need to be kept in a home so that they're easy to find. And of course, what would a desk be without a nice cold cup of coffee? Yes, of course, I have one. And then a beautiful ephemera folder that I haven't looked through properly yet. That was some happy mail I got the other day. And that's it. This is my craft room. It's not the prettiest, but it is very practical. It makes me incredibly happy working in here. And by using cupboards instead of those IKEA units, I'm able to store larger items with ease. And it does help save me from diving into the overwhelm pool. It really does happen to me. If I have too much on display, there's already probably too much here now. But as long as I keep things tidy, it's all good. So I hope you enjoyed this little tour. If you have any questions about where I got things from, please don't hesitate to drop a comment down below. I would happily help out. So until next time, thank you so much for watching this. Please stay safe and stay healthy. Bye for now.